Let's talk about the topic of natural selection. I think sometimes people raise the topic of natural selection as though it was a problem for a religious point of view or favored evolution or things like that. But natural selection is really not controversial at all and never has been. Everybody from young earth creationists to intelligent design theorists to naturalistic evolutionists, everybody accepts the notion of natural selection. Let me back up a little bit with regard to this. So, as we know, a breeder could take a certain population and try to produce certain characteristics. Maybe a breeder wants to produce dogs that can tolerate the cold and wants them to have a thick, heavy coat of fur and various other features that would allow them to be able to survive well in a really cold climate. And so from an initial population of dogs, the breeder could select some that seem to have some of the features that the breeder is looking for, breed those, and then the next population take dogs that seem to have maybe more of the features that the breeder is looking for and continue that and eventually get a population of dogs that are able to tolerate a cold climate even if their ancestors a few generations back might not have been able to. And so Darwin pointed out that nature can also select. And I think that that was very clever on his part. I think he deserves some credit for that insight. So imagine that we have a very cold climate, and we have, let's say, dogs that have a thick, heavy coat of fur, and some other dogs that have thin, short fur. And the notion of nature selecting, of course, is that the animals that are suited to that environment, the ones that are able to tolerate the cold, they're going to be able to survive and reproduce, whereas the ones that are not really suited to that environment, they're probably going to die out and so not reproduce. And so over the course of time, you're going to end up with dogs that are able to survive in a really cold climate, and the ones that can't, those ones will disappear. But natural selection speaks of what happens to animals with different types of features in a particular environment. It doesn't tell us anything about where those creatures came from in the first place, which is really the main question.